Welcome back to the T5er YouTube channel, everybody. Today we're going to have a look at how to fit USB sockets to your dash of your T5 camper van. Now, if you've been following me, you'll have seen that I fitted this stereo. If you've not checked out that video, I'll put a link in the top corner now for you to have a look. Essentially, around the back of that stereo, there's two USB input points. So what I've done with the first one is, and I'll show you how to do this in a sec, is I've routed through a USB socket point there to one of the blanks on my dash. So that directly connects into the back of the stereo there. And the beauty of that is it acts as a 5-volt charging point that I can use to charge my phone when it's in its cradle there. Or what I've also done is I've got one of these little stubby 32GB memory sticks, and that's got all my music and videos on, which I can then obviously play via the stereo. Today, because I've already done this one in the past, I'll quickly show you what you'd need to do to fit this one, but I'm actually going to fit a brand new one inside the glove box, and I'll just shuffle over to the other side and I'll show you inside the glove box for where I mean. So here we are inside my glove box. What I thought would be handy is to have another USB charging point inside of here, because obviously I've already got the one on the front of the dash here that I can use to charge my phone for music, whatever. And I thought it'd be quite handy to have a hidden one inside the glove box. I might end up using it to power a dash cam or to charge a phone that's out of sight, whatever. What I've noticed is there's this little blank here. I've done a little bit of research into that, and that used to be the passenger airbag on-off switch, but VW rerouted it to down inside here. So now, I don't know whether you can see with the light, we've got this little blank plug here. So what I'm going to do, it just pops out and it allows you to route cables through to the back. So what I'm hoping is I'll be able to route my USB cables back through to the other spare port on the back of the stereo. And essentially what I'm going to do is, with this USB point there, is I'm going to cut out the right size hole in this blank plug, which will allow me to feed all of this through, and that will sit neatly into the blank plug, and I'll have a USB charging point inside of the glove box. As a little bonus for this video, I'm going to show you how to remove the glove box, because I'm going to, even though it's easy to remove that blank plug there, I'm going to need access behind there to route the cables through. So removing the glove box is dead easy. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's just one at the back there to make 5. They're T20s. T20 bolts that you need to remove. You don't need to remove these two. They're just there to soften the close of the glove box. So normally they are covered with these little blanks here. It's just a matter of getting a flat bladed screwdriver in to remove them to expose the T20s underneath. Now I just pop everything that I take off inside that little cubby there so that it doesn't get lost. So I'll just flick these off for starters. So that's 4 of them off. Exposes 4 bolts. The one at the back doesn't have a cover on it because it's out of sight. So it's a matter of getting your T20 Torx bit, and then you're just going to undo those 5. So I'm doing this one-handed, so I will stop now and I'll show you once I've removed those bolts. Okay, so here we are again. I've removed the bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the one at the back. And in doing so, I found something a bit peculiar. I don't know where that's come from. A penis straw. Nothing to do with me, Frank. Anyway, once you remove those bolts, it's just a matter of rocking that, tilting it slightly forward, and the whole thing just lifts out to expose what's behind. So having removed that blank, you can see where that comes through there, which will allow me to just pop the whole thing down there on the driver's seat. Allow me to, once I've fitted that USB cable there, to route the cables back through to behind the stereo. So what I'm going to do now is get that blank plug, mark it out, cut a hole for the USB socket, and away we go. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, if my head cam footage worked just then, you should have seen me cutting my hole into my blank plug. And here is the finished article, complete with a bit of my spit to remove the pencil marks. That's obviously the glove box hole. This is the actual glove box, which is still out of place. And there is the hole for the blank. So it is a matter now of me feeding this cable through the hole. Like so, and the blank plug should, with a bit of luck one-handed, what it will do, pop back in, and there we have it. One USB 3-point fitted to a blank plug inside a glove box. Now, the next steps for me is obviously we have, if we just excuse the bang of the microphone, we just, out the back is the cable, and it's a matter of me just feeding that through to the back of the stereo, which I'll do off camera, and then I'm going to bolt the glove box back into place, exactly the opposite of how I removed it. And there we go, everybody. That's the finished article. USB point in the blanking plug in the glove box. Obviously, I've refitted with the T20 bolts and the blanking plates over the top. So that job's done. And that's going to come in really handy to be able to charge a mobile phone out of sight in here, or recharge up my power bank as I'm driving along with the glove box lid closed. If you check out the video description, I will put in a link to everything you need to do this for yourself. If you notice, this USB point here has got more of a rectangular profile as opposed to the one in the dashboard, which is more of a circular profile. I would say to cut the holes, it's probably easier to get one with a circular profile, because that just needs a 13mm drill bit. So you remove one of the blanking plugs, obviously, pop that right out, and I'll show you how to do that in a sec. And you just drill a 13mm hole. And then the process is exactly the same as I've just shown you there. You feed through your power cables all the way back to the back of the stereo. Obviously, you're going to need a stereo that's got USB input points to power both of these, and this comes on nicely when I start my engine, so therefore these points aren't live when my engine's not on, which is exactly what I want, because these will be running off the main engine battery. So I don't want these live if I leave my phone plugged in. I don't want it draining the main battery. I'll jump in the back in a bit and I'll show you how to do a USB socket off my leisure battery. But yeah, that's essentially how you fit USB charging points, assuming you've got a stereo that allows plugging in. Because for my 12-volt cigarette adapter here, that's permanently live. So if I was going to fit a dash cam or something like that and feed it off that, not only is it a bit of a mess trailing cables all the way off here, when I park up and go inside, it's going to continue draining the battery. Whereas if I feed the cables through the back of the dashboard here, if I'm talking about a dash camera, and plug it in there to the USB, it's only actually going to be live when I start my engine via the stereo. If you're wanting to know how to remove one of these blank plugs, and I've got plenty of them, then check out my video for installing the stereo, which shows you the full process. I'll put a link up in the top right corner now. But essentially all you need to do is, using a trim tool, you just go around the outside of the top, and that pops out, being careful not to disturb Frank, my old friend. And then there is 2 bolts at the top there, and then this dash trim here, it just pops all the way off. You go all the way around and it just pops off, and then you can just put your finger in and pop out one of these, and then away you go. Take it somewhere safe before you drill your 13mm hole, or whatever hole you're making, depending on what USB point you buy. If you're looking to install something a bit more like this in the back, I'm now in the back of the van, these run off my leisure battery. So what I've done is I've taken a cable, a power cable, 12-volt power cable, a run from my leisure battery all the way up this side panel, which is by the side door. As you can see, it goes up here and drops down to a switch, because these USB charging points that you can get off Amazon or eBay, they're permanently live. So even though it's my leisure battery, I don't want that being drained either. So this is on the side of the rock and roll bed. That's where I am at the moment. And the switch there powers it on. So it's handy for the kids or whoever's sitting in the back to be able to turn that on and charge their tablets or phones or whatever. So essentially all you do for something like that is you take your 12 volt run from your leisure battery. I've only got one cable here, this is just an offcut. So you've got your 12 volt coming in, you'd also have a black, your neutral negative coming in, and then that's your two cables coming in, and then you have one going out, your switch live, which then goes down from the switch to the USB point there. Anyway guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Sorry for the little hiatus in videos there, but I've been very busy with my day job, as those of you who've seen my previous video will have realised. If you want to replicate anything that I've done today, I'll put all the links to the items that I've bought in the video description, so check that out, click through, and it'll give you everything you need to do. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.